What's going on, guys? And I'm back today with another weekly breakdown, market markup, whatever you want to call it. And we about to get into it. This is going to be a little shorter one. I'm not going to be going over as many pairs as I usually do. I'm just going to be going over US30, NAS100, DXY, and maybe a little bit of GBP, JPY. I'm not going to be going over gold or Bitcoin because you guys already know my overall Bitcoin analysis for the overall monthly and weekly time frame, so we're not going to go over that as of right now. So we're just going to start off on US30. So like we always do, start off on the higher time frame. And if you guys didn't know, I got my braces on. Oh yeah, I got that pearly whites. I'm a smooth 4 now. But let's get into this market breakdown. So let's start off on the daily time frame. So this area that we've been watching all week at this daily bearish order block right here has really been being respected, and in my opinion has caused create a lot of liquidity in this whole area right here that actually got taken out yesterday, I'm pretty sure, right here with this push. It was during Asian session, so I wasn't even able to capitalize on that push. I was expecting NFP to have that push to really break those highs, but that's not what we got. What the fuck? But all right, so now that we have this daily, let's look at the fib from that zone, which is right here. As you can see, it's still being respected. So this fib is still being validated, because as you can see, we started consolidating, and from here I'm expecting to have an expansion to the downside. That's what I have for my overall bias with US30 for the long term for the next few weeks, because I'm still targeting this fair value gap that we have in price all the way down here. And this is at, let's mark this price up. This is at 35. This is basically at 35,000. So I'm just gonna have that 35,000. 35,000 right now is a area that we're targeting for the next week or two, basically. So right here, this is basically where I'm expecting price to come to and fill, and is at the tip of this wick. Pause. All right, the tip of this wick at 35,000, and we'll be filling in its fair value gap. So that's a key area we're looking to target. And then since we're on the higher time frame, let's pull our fib from this low to the high. And as you can see, it also has confluence with the fib levels. So you can see there's a lot of reasoning for price to want to come to this area and possibly have a consolidation phase before a overall expansion to the top side to continue this overall trend that US30 has been in for the past few years, basically. But since this is our overall analysis for the higher time frame, let's move on to the 4-hour and see what we can find on here. So the first thing that I'm noticing as of right now, you can see where this daily order block is right here. It is also in confluence with a 4-hour order block that was formed yesterday when we broke these highs. So this push that took out the liquidity above these highs created a 4-hour order block also right where our daily order block is. So we have two confluences in this area for price right here. And you can also see there's a lot of areas right here. This is also previous order block that was here. There's just a lot of confluence in this area for price. And as you can see, if you just look over here, all the confluences, 79% on the fib, the daily order block, and the 4-hour order block. So now, since we're overall expecting price to fall, let's look at this real quick. Matter of fact, right here, this 4-hour order block was also respected. So before we start getting into areas to start targeting for our sell buys, because we're going off of the higher time frames. The higher time frames dictate overall what's happening in the whole market. And as you can see, price came up to this daily order block, also tapped into this 4-hour order block before rejecting and falling down, trading into this 4-hour order block down here, which I was actually able to catch a trade on earlier today. This is a key area that I've been watching. And as you can see right here, this was at 8:42 in the morning. This was the 4-hour order block I was looking to target to get into a trade into. And as you can see, price came down and I was able to capitalize on that trade. And it was a nice little trade, like about 100 pips I was able to catch. But that's not the point of this video. We're still going over what we expect US30 to do. So as of right now, price traded into this 4-hour order block and started rejecting. So in my opinion, as of right now, we're going to pull our fib from this high to this low. And we're going, where's our 30? You can see price is currently trading under 38.20%. But in my opinion, for when the market opens, I'm expecting to have a price push up, possibly consolidate in this area due to all the confluence we have. We have the daily order block, 4-hour order block, the 79%. So I'm expecting a consolidation phase before possibly having a drop to target lower areas, such as below these lows, below these lows, above these highs, and below these lows. So these are all the short-term areas that I'm looking for price to potentially target on the short-term bias. Actually, let me change all these just like that, and then we're going to put our X's above, because these are areas that we're looking to take the sell stops out. So just like that, these are the areas we're looking to target. So just like this, I'm expecting the price to come up to this fib area, which is also in confluence with our daily order block on the higher time frames right here. Let me move it up a little bit. Right there, the daily order block, which price is shown it's respecting and wants to see lower prices. So we're trusting our overall daily time frame. We're also trusting our 4-hour time frame. And since we're here, we're going to pull our fib from the high of the order block to the low of it, and you're going to get the 50% mark. So this is right at the 50%. So ideally, getting into a trade in this area, you would want your stop to be somewhere above the 50% of this order block, because you don't want to see, you don't have a stop here, because the 50% area is the last possible area, in my opinion, that you would want to see price go to before dictating whether the trade is invalidated or not. So let me just get rid of some of these things. I'm going to get rid of this overall higher time frame fib, because we know prices already predisposed to try to see lower prices. We have a lot of liquidity that we are looking to target. So where else could we look to target? If you look over here under these lows, what do you see? I see a fair value gap in the market. So this is another area. I'm expecting the price to take these lows out to try to fill this area. And if we could fill this area, price is more than likely going to continue at some point to come down to these lower areas right at 35,000, which is an even higher area we are looking to target. And if you look, we have this fair value gap on the higher time frame on the daily, but we also have one right in the middle on the 4-hour time frame also. So we have a lot of areas and a lot of reasoning to see price try to travel to this area. We have our fib levels, meaning that this is going to be a discounted price for the range of, from the range, meaning price from here to here. This is the overall range price is currently trading in. So we're expecting price to have that overall push down at some point, potentially give us a good entry and a good price to be able to see higher prices. So this is our higher time frame analysis. We're going to move on to the hour time frame now to see what's going on here. And as you can see, if we pull our fib even from this low now to this high, as you guys know, I like to use my fib a lot because it gives me an idea of what price is likely trying to do. So as of right now, looking at on the hour, I don't think price is going to respect this continuation level due to the fact it's already broke through. So I'm expecting price to potentially come lower, maybe have a consolidation phase before expanding to consolidate again, before having this overall retracement like I'm expecting here. And if we go down to the possibly on a 30-minute time frame, we could look to target areas such as this 30-minute order block over here. But honestly, I wouldn't use that as a potential area because it's under our fib levels. So in my opinion, that's not a trade I would be willing to take. I already know the setups I like to see. But overall, I'm just going to go over this one last time before we move on to our next pair. So overall on the daily time frame, US30, we're rejecting this daily order block, and we're also rejecting the fib that we have drawn like this. I'm not going to have it drawn, but we're rejecting it. We're starting to consolidate. So as of right now, we're waiting for price to potentially break market structure to the downside to potentially come into these areas at 35,000. And then when you go to the 4-hour time frame, we mark out areas that we are likely to be able to see these trades unfold at. So an area we're potentially expecting price to unfold would be at this 4-hour order block, which is at 35,400, 35,400, 440. And another area we're potentially watching to see price unfold down here, which is at 35,334. And then from there, the last area we're looking to have potential movement is 35,000. So this is my expectations for US30 for this upcoming week. And let's move on to NAS100. So like everything else, we're going to start off on the daily time frame, and we're going to look at what's going on overall. So the first thing that I see is this last down candle before this up move. So this is going to be our daily order block that we are potentially going to trade into next week. Maybe not. This is just an area of high reasoning with a reason for price to come back to it. We also have these higher time frame breaker blocks that could potentially be traded into also. Guys, I just have to stress to you guys how important the higher time frame analysis is, because when you understand what's going on in the overall market on the higher time frame, you could use that to basically map out trades on the lower time frame. Because if you understand where price is likely to go long term, you can understand where price is likely to go on a day intraday basis. If you guys understand, I'm just telling you guys, it's very important to be marking up these higher time frames. That's how I'm able to catch these trades and have high probability setups, because I know where they're likely to unfold because of my higher time frame analysis. So let's pull our fib from this low to this high to give us an idea of areas price is likely to target. Okay, I'm gonna wait to draw my fib on the higher time frame because this candle is still making new highs. It's closed making a new high. I'm not going to count these wicks. I like to draw my fibs from the bodies of the candles. So we understand all this. We also understand on the higher time frame that there is a fair value gap right here from this wick to this wick. So we would look to fill that in at some point, maybe next week. We'll just have to see. So let's move on to the 4-hour time frame now. So now that we understand we're overall bullish, I'm trying to be able to catch a retracement on this trade, not this trade, but this pair, to catch the overall expansion, because selling or buying right now with NAS is not very smart, because you will basically be buying at almost an all-time high. You don't want to do that. You want to buy at a price that makes sense where you can have a good stop loss. So right now, let's map out all the areas we would likely want to target where there's liquidity. So above these highs, above these lows, above these lows, and below these lows. These are the areas of the most confluence. So one thing I also see, looking at this daily order block, there's a lot of areas that price ranged at. And another thing that I see is this breaker block right here. This breaker block. Oh, I fucked it up. But if you don't know what a breaker block is, I have a video on it. But if you just want to know right now, a breaker block is a previous order block that got broken through. So just like this. Okay, it's this. This should be fucking me up. Hate using those sometimes. Right here, we have a daily block and we have a breaker block confluence together. So maybe, matter of fact, now that we're on a lower time frame, I could draw my fib. So I could draw my fib from this low to this high right over here. I'm going to map it out with a clip so you guys could see where I draw my fibs from, so you don't get confused. And what do you see? You see at this daily order block and at this breaker block, we have confluence with the 79% of this overall fib from this high to this low, which price is currently in. So now that we know if price continues to range to possibly see lower prices, we want to be able to fill this fair value gap and come even lower to this daily order block to potentially get the best price before price overall continues to make higher highs. But for all we know, price could likely just keep on going higher when the market opens. And if it does, then we'll just have to reevaluate what we're mapping out as of right now. But as of right now, where price is at currently and where the highs and lows are currently at, I'm expecting price to have a retracement of some sort to break these lows, to come to fill this fair value gap in, to potentially fill this fair value gap in. Also, I'm not going to draw it out because it's on the lower time frame. It's on a 4-hour. Matter of fact, I'm going to draw it just so you guys know. There's also another fair value gap right here. And once we fill this full fair value gap in, if we fill this full fair value gap in, we would be in this area of high interest that we would be looking to catch a trade at. And this area is 15,370. So this is an area of high probability that I would be looking to target. And as you can see at the bottom of this fair value gap, you also have the confluence with this 4-hour order block also. So you guys can see that I do the same things every time I'm marking up. I'm looking for the same confirmations. My trading strategy is very simple. And if we put the continuation level on this fib that we already have drawn, you can see that it's right above this fair value gap. So if price does come down to it, it could possibly use this gap as support to potentially use this 38.20% to reject. So this is an idea that we could possibly see just like this. Or we could have price consolidate, expand to the downside, and possibly consolidate at this level, have a push up before then moving into this move right here. Just like that. So those are two little ideas I have for NAS. I could use the 1 hour time frame, but I don't trade NAS on a day-to-day basis, so I'm just going to map it out for the long term. So this is my idea, what I want to see somewhat happen this week. This isn't ideally perfectly what I want to see happen, but it's just a little idea, because you're never going to be 100% sure. So now let's move on to DXY. And if you don't know what DXY is the dollar index, so the dollar currency. So let's just mark up what we're overall watching on the long time frame. So one thing that I see that happened in price was we had a daily order block right here where price retraced into before having this down move that then broke the lows, that then broke these lows, and it's starting to look like it's going to target these lows also. So like we do with everything else, we're going to draw our areas that we're looking to target. So these lows, these lows, these highs, and we also have these highs right here that we will look to target on the short term time frame. We're going to get our X's. And the reason I draw these lines, guys, is not for no reason. These are areas of liquidity. There's liquidity above old highs, old lows, equal highs, equal lows, all of that. So these are areas that price is more than likely looking to target on a higher time frame. Let's just make sure that there's any other areas. This we could also use as a potential area to trade back into. This is a daily bearish order block because this last up candle before this down move that then broke these lows right here. And then the last thing, another thing we could do, this is all a breaker block also, because this was a, sorry about that, but this was a order block at one point, but it got broken through. So now it's a breaker block, and it's also in confluence with this daily order block also. So we're going to put the fib, the 50% on our breaker block so we can map out where price is likely to try and target. So right here, the 50% is very close to the daily order block. So if we do get a retracement of some sort, this area is very high probability, and this pricing is 92,730. So this is an area that we could look to target before seeing a push lower. So if we do have that retracement, this is an area that we could look to target. So now let's move on to the 4 hour time frame. So overall, knowing we're bearish on DXY, because if we're bearish on DXY, that means we're going to be bullish long term for US30, and it starts to play along with our overall bias, what we see happening overall. So the first thing that I see, which price is doing, if you look all the way over here, this last down candle before this up move, or even this candle right here, but I'm going to use this. You can see this is where price is currently rejecting off of after having this big expansion to the downside. So one thing we're going to start to do, we're going to get our fib once again to map out areas of high probability. So what we're going to do, we're going to draw our fib from this high to the low where the price is currently at, and we're going to start to map out an area that price could likely retrace to. And what do you see? What do you see that's not like crazy about this fib? Where is it at? You can see that it's in confluence with our 50% of this breaker block that we have on the daily time frame, and the 79% of this fib is in confluence with the daily order block. So we already have 3 confirmations in this general area at 92,730 to where price is likely to come to have this retracement to see an expansion in price to the downside. So this is an area that we're key just want to watch out for. So let's go to the daily once again real quick so I can see something. Okay. So as of right now, what I'm expecting in price is I want to see possibly maybe a consolidation, because the market moves in phases. A consolidation phase to then have an expansion to come back up here to possibly consolidate before potentially coming lower to target the liquidity below these lows, or maybe even target a lower order block all the way down here, which looks like price actually somewhat came to already, so I'm not going to mark that up. But this is ideally what I'm looking at for DXY. With DXY, my idea of what I want to see a retracement, because we've been bearish for the majority of the week already. So I'm expecting a retracement to be able to basically continue this overall downtrend that I am anticipating. And this is all on the daily time frame where I'm doing majority of the analysis. And as you can see, this daily order block right here is where price is currently in as of right now. And we're going to draw the 50% because the high of this order block was not respected. So we're going to see if the 50% is being respected. Delete this. So you can see the 50% of this overall daily order block is in confluence with the 4-hour order block, and you can see that is where price is currently respecting. So ideally, I do see where you could possibly get potential bullish pressure, not pressure, but bullish movement. And as you can see, this last 4-hour candle was breaking the previous candle's high. So we already have a lot of reasoning to believe price is going to want to expand basically sometime next week. It might not be right when the market opens, but we could see maybe consolidation. Possibly maybe we might retrace a little bit lower back to this order block where price already previously came to, possibly come down a little bit before pushing, because this is all in the general area of the 4-hour order block, the 50% of the daily order block. So that's ideally what I want to see happen with DXY. I'm overall bullish on DXY short term, but I'm overall bearish long term. So let's move on to GJ. GJ I have still marked up from last week. As you can see, I leave all these. This is my weekly markups. I don't really trade these pairs, but you can see these were areas that I was looking to target at 152. And you can see that's where price is currently at. We're going to delete all of these down here because these are not important. But now that we are in these areas that I was looking to target before, I'm just trying to get rid of a lot of these fibs that are now invalidated. So you can see from this high to this low, we're going to draw our fib. So from down here to the high right here, I'm going to draw the eclipse just so you guys know where the fib is drawn from once again. And you can see price is currently rejecting this breaker block, which I'm pretty sure is a daily breaker block. Yes, it is. It's a daily breaker block. So this last down candle before this up move was classified as an order block, but it got broken through. So now it is a breaker block. And now you can see on the daily time frame, price traveled back into it, is rejecting the 50% of it, and it's also rejecting the fib that we have drawn from the higher time frame from this high to this low. And that's two confirmations in that one area. Then another thing we see is that it's a whole number level 2, so 152. And you can see that is where price is starting to have this break down. So overall, what I'm expecting to happen, I want to see price start to break these lows, possibly break these lows right here, or maybe even these lows down here, to come possibly down to 150, 800, which is our 38.20% continuation level. And it has more confirmations down here, such as this candle is a 4-hour order block. We're going to delete this one because it was already used. This 4-hour order block is very close to this area. So we could see a lot of confluence here to see price have a retracement to potentially consolidate before having expansion to see higher prices, or just consolidate before potentially coming even lower to these areas that we are targeting. There's not many confluences for order blocks over here, but if we take these lows, we could possibly see on the daily time frame what's going on over here. I don't see anything that I like on the daily time frame in that general area over here. So the only confirmations we have as of right now for this area is this fib. And that's not enough confirmations in my opinion to take a trade. So this isn't really a high confluence area such as this one right here, which is a fib level and a whole number level, and it is an order block. So this is the ideal area that I would want to see targeted before price has this expansion to the top side. So that's really it for my market analysis, what I'm expecting overall to happen this week. I'm doing this video on Friday because I'm going to be doing things this weekend, so I'm not going to be able to make the videos. So I'm going to be making 1 to 2 or 3 videos tonight, and it's already 11, so we have a lot of work to do. But hopefully this breakdown helps you guys, gives you a better understanding of what to look for this week. And if you want an even better understanding and help on the day-to-day basis, make sure you join my Telegram chat where I'm actively helping people every day, showing them how I trade. And as you can see, I'm not the only one taking the trades. I'm showing them how I trade, showing them trade setups happen and why they're happening and what to look for. And they do the same thing. And as you can see, they all get into trades too. It's not just me. We're all eating. We all have different trade styles, but we're all trading the same concepts overall. And as you can see, they're learning. I show them things every day. I show them a lot of things. I put a lot of work into this Telegram chat. I do it all for free because I just enjoy helping people. But hopefully this video was of some help to you. If it did, make sure you comment, subscribe, click this button right under here. Right there, might be somewhere over here. You get the idea. You see it. It says subscribe. So click that, click the notification button so you get notified when I have new uploads. I'm uploading content every single week. I was slacking the past few weeks because I had stuff going on in my personal life, but that's no excuse. We're back at it. So make sure you like the video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.